Alright friends, welcome back to another weekly episode of Psycho for TYCo. And this time around we're going to be doing something a whole lot different. It could be TYCo related, I guess, if you want to put it that way, because this project will work with TYCo cars. However, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing rear end light devices, Freds, or however you want to put it. Because the modern Tonopah Tidewater needs a flashing red light for the end of its caboose. And I figured since I got so many of these little flashing red lights that I could do a couple of Freds on the cheap. So this is the caboose. I'm not sure if it's 3D printed or resin printed. And so what we're going to do here is, with the end here with the guy waving, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put a flashing red light back here. So we're going to get that started here in a second. And what I did was I got these little flashing red LEDs. They weren't that expensive. I think they were only, let me find out here. So these came in a pack of 25 and they were only 10 bucks. So versus like Bachmann's rear end Fred device, I can build a whole bunch of these on the cheap, which is kind of what the channel is all about. It's about building things on the cheap that are decent. So for the flashing light on the back of the caboose, we're going to be using a Q-tip. We're going to be using a Q-tip, and if I can find them, just this simple battery holder, which I got a snootful for cheap. And then finally, a reed switch, magnetic reed switch, so that I can turn them on and off. And those would be in my little toolbox here. If I can pull it out, if I can pull one out. These things are tiny. One magnetic reed switch. So the LEDs, the reed switch, the battery holder, the Q-tip. Now for the Fred, I'm going to be using some of that spare 80 by 80 square stock, and the same concept. And this will just get mounted on the coupler, so it's actually removable. Now for certain freight cars, such as this Athearn Genesis boxcar, it's not going to work because I can't get the floor out. However, for a TYCo car or any other car with a removable floor that's a boxcar, or maybe even a tank car, I'm not sure, this will work great. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started by removing the caboose top here on this kit and drilling out the hole for the Q-tip for the flashing rear end light. Alright, and through the miracle of time, we've already got our lens begun here, which is just a Q-tip. But get the good Q-tips. Don't get the crappy Q-tips, because like the crappy Q-tips aren't plastic. And we have our flashing light installed. Now I didn't need to use a resistor, but I did want to use the magnetic reed switch. These are weird. This is the first time I've ever used one. I always thought you just kind of like pass it over and it'll go on, but you actually have to like use a magnet. And hey, keeping it in the TYCo format, I'm using one of the PT magnets from one of my earlier videos. So we're going to wait for this to dry. Then we're going to go ahead and install this. And I think what I will do is I will mount the switch in a way to where I can just kind of like stick the magnet in the door to activate it, because it's going to be, the door's going to be pretty much hidden by the brakeman right here anyway. So all right, so we got that done, and then we're going to do another one for our flashing rear end device, and I'll show you how we do that one. And there's two ways of thought on this. The first one is just to put it to where it just fits into the KD coupler, and the other way I'm thinking is fitting it over the KD coupler. I'm not sure yet. So this will be kind of an interesting one. But we'll go ahead and the two things we're going to have to do on this is we're going to have to put the zoom up so y'all can see a little bit better. So I'm just going to glue this onto here, and then I'm going to cut this to length to fit the thread. Now the threads are usually, I think, about 3 to 4 feet. They're pretty big. So I'm just going to pull out my cheap handy dandy, yeah, maybe they're about 2 feet. So we'll go ahead and we'll just measure off 2 scale feet on the HO ruler. We'll give this a chop. And then we'll go ahead and we'll mount our chintzy China LED onto that. And then do the same thing. But this one I don't think will have a reed switch. I think I'm just going to wire it directly, so it's going to be nice and easy and simple. And then all I got to do is, with whatever car I put, I'm going to put the battery in, and then do it that way. You know, just pop the battery in, pop the floor back up, mount this on the coupler, and go from there. Okay, so my flashing taillight is mounted in the caboose. So we're just going to put that together and then figure out how I'm going to mount the reed switch. And then our flashing rear end device is built. And as you can see, I'm using some 80 by 80. I filed that down so it would fit in the coupler. And for, I think, the best application for this thread would be a sliding door boxcar, so I can like pull the battery out and put the battery in. And this is just an old A-line underframe and a shell I found, which works well for this application. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm still waiting to make sure that all the super glue dried, because if I did a video on how long it would take the super glue to dry, it would, like, yeah, the video would never end. So I'm just waiting for the super glue to dry on this. Then I'm going to paint it black, and then I'm going to go ahead and install it in the boxcar. Alrighty, well, I had a good long towing call, so I think everything here is dry. So let's go ahead and put our EOT together. And as you can see here, if I can get some focus. There we go. As you can see here, I did some filing down so it would fit in the KD coupler. So it should just drop into the coupler just like so. And it does. And we'll just put our boxcar on top. And I'm using a sliding door boxcar because it's just easier right now. So I can go ahead and I can take this and pop it out. Of course, my foot would pop out. Where'd you go, Freddie? There we go. Reposition Mr. Fred into the coupler there. Let's not break the other end. Alright, only thing that's left is to put in the battery. So let me reposition the camera so we can all see this. First we're going to do the blinking light on the caboose. That looks nice. I'm running the magnet right under the body here. So I've got that working. And of course, if I really wanted to, I could just go ahead and push that in the door. We've got that working. Then we go ahead and we put this other one in the boxcar. There we go. There you are, friends. Flashing rear end devices. End of train device. And I've made 2 so far for the cost of 1. So there you have it. And that concludes tonight's episode of TYCo for TYCo. Hey friends, I know you're at the end of the video and all that, but I just wanted to give a quick shout out that if you're in Carson City or any of the surrounding neighborhoods, come on down to Mills Park where the Carson City Railroad Association, my model railroad club, happens to be at. We've got both HO scale and N scale. We run modular displays. We also have, during the summer months, a 2-foot tourist railroad that kind of goes around half the park. Membership fee is about $35. If you want to run some trains, come on down. Just let us know. Link in the description, and the link is right here at the bottom. And have a good one. I'm TYCo for TYCo. We'll see you next time.